Eddie, when I saw the photo last night of AJ, Tyson and Ngannou all in one room, I wondered how that affected him, because he's been the master of his own shows alongside you for over 10 years. Everything's done with military precision and to the way he likes it. And I just thought, how is he going to handle that? Because Fury's an erratic guy and Ngannou's his opponent.
I think maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would have been concerned. Now, like, from everything he's been through, from the place he's in mentally, he's quite enjoying it. You know, there was a little bit, I won't say an altercation between Fury and Ngannou, but definitely a few words. And I think he was just sat back. I think really it was more of a problem for Ngannou. You know, so I think AJ was just chilled in the corner watching everything unfold, just ready to fight. It honestly seems like there's always an analysis of AJ's psyche going into any fight. And I'm always pretty relaxed with how he is. And honestly, it seems great going into this fight, really confident, firing on all cylinders.
And he had, to be fair to him, only a couple of months ago, Jarrell Miller inches from his face saying far
Again,
worse.
same thing, yeah. And I actually thought that would have affected him more. But that's why, really, I just think he's unfazed and ready to do a job.
But Tyson didn't try and give AJ any lip.
They didn't talk, no. It was interesting, actually, because he gave Gyp to everybody else, but not AJ. So I think there's a respect there. And I think they know they're going to meet at some point.
And I know we have undisputed belts and 2-fight deals, but when you sit down with Turki Al-Sheikh and talk about this stuff, as a pure boxing fan that we're constantly told that he is, do you think that Fury and AJ is still the dream fight in his mind?
Without any question. And that's why we're taking this fight. Because he's told us if we beat Ngannou, we're going to get a shot at Fury against the Usyk winner for undisputed, and that's always been the dream. So we know there's rematches, etc. But let's be honest, if that presents itself, there's always a conversation to be had. And if AJ knocks out Ngannou and Fury beats Usyk, how can you not make that fight immediately?
Handily as well, especially, I think that would rule out a rematch, because we've got that in the undercard one with Parker Zhang, a 2-fight deal. But if some geezer gets knocked out really early,
I think His Excellency will always make sure that those rematches have to carry some kind of, you know, attraction to the fight fan and to him. And most of them do sometimes. But I think you will see the 2 undisputed fights between Fury and Usyk, but could we slot in an AJ one in the middle? We'll have to wait and see.
One of the great things for British boxing fans coming out of all this, although they might be missing the shows in terms of travelling over, is that you and Frank are doing business together. Now, this is a second-generation rivalry professionally, though. This started with him and your dad.
Yeah.
And I wonder, being a young boy growing up and seeing maybe Frank with a newspaper column or on the telly, digging your dad out, but as much as Frank plays this down as just business, did that affect you a little bit as a lad?
Not really. I mean, I remember, you know, a lot of my childhood would be spent in my dad's study, because he would come home from work, and to be fair to him, we would go out in the garden, he'd bowl me 100 cricket balls and I'd smash him all around the garden, then we'd have a game of table tennis or football. He'd always put the time in, but come about 8 o'clock, it was work time for him. So he would go into his study and I would just sit in his study, and I would either have a cricket ball, throwing it up in the air, or messing around with football. And he would just be, you know, I can picture it now, just leaning back on the leather chair, and it would be Don King, it would be Aram, it would be Warren, it would be Don Majeski, it would be Pepe Forbes, it would be all these guys who I know their voice so well. And Frank Warren was a rival to my dad, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it was a fierce rivalry, you know. So when I came into boxing, maybe subconscious, I don't know, but I just wanted to beat who was ever there. It wasn't necessarily just because, I know that he was a rival of my dad's. I mean, it became sweeter that we were getting the upper hand, you know, during that period. And my dad's always said to me, well, you'd like Frank, you know, you'd like his company. If you go and have a bit of dinner with him, he's good company. They've just never got on from a business standpoint, because they are rivals and because they've always had different networks. People keep saying right now, oh yeah, you know, the money's just brought Frank and Eddie together. It's actually a bit more than that, because His Excellency is actually dealing with the networks as well. So we can't do Matchroom Queensberry without the agreement of our broadcasters, TNT and DAZN. But he's on that level with the owners and, you know, the directors, where it's almost like come on guys, this is great fun, let's not ruin it. You can have it, okay. And we're saying, listen, if you can work that all out, we're in. And that's what he's done. So, and my dad was right, because socially, I'm enjoying Frank's time. And we talk boxing, like, I'm so passionate about boxing, I could talk about boxing every day for the rest of my life. And Frank's actually the same. You know, so we're talking about fights. We're talking. You know, first thing he said to me when he came up to me in Riyadh this week was, "What about your boy winning on Saturday in New York?" You know, and then there's a big conversation about maybe he fights Nick Ball in a unification. And I actually said to him last night, I said, "How long are you going to keep going?" It's actually quite a funny story. I don't know. I think I've told you earlier, Ollie, but I've got a bit of a bad back at the moment, and Frank's got a really bad back, and AJ's got a physio who travels with him and helps him. Rob Madden, one top physio. Yeah. And then I said to one of AJ's team yesterday, my back's playing up. Can Rob come and just, you know, try and help me out? So he came round, and I said, how's things, Rob? He said, yeah. He said, actually, I'm working with Frank Warren once a week. I said, blimey, what's going on? I can't get away from him. And I saw Frank. I felt like two old men sitting there last night at His Excellency's house. I had my back. Rob worked on my back today. How's your back, Frank? Yeah, all the travelling. So I'm getting a little bit older, but. You know, it actually feels quite refreshing because we've been like that for years and it's draining, you know, and I won't give in because it's not in my nature, but it's actually quite nice to work together and be excited about, like we're sitting there around His Excellence, we're excited for boxing and yeah, it's good times. And going back to, I said to him last night, how long are you going to keep doing this? You know, and he looked at me and went, well, what else am I going to do? And I thought, you know what, that's exactly right. You know, same for me, same for my old man. You can say you've retired, but what else are you going to do? Sit at home? Sit on the lake fishing? This is our bread and butter. We live and breathe it every day. So, yeah, it's been good fun.
And now that you're working together on these big shows, where's the rivalry? Is it going to be on the best suits, the best wine list at home?
I think it's more in the fights, you know, because I said, we were talking about the 5v5 and he went, oh, I ain't losing this. I said, I ain't losing this. I'm going into that changing room. I'm giving Churchillian speeches to my fighters, potentially even win bonuses, and saying, listen, you've got to win this fight, you know? And that's the competitive, that's why we want the fights to be pick-em fights. So we're sitting ringside just excited, and you know, the opportunities for our fighters are incredible, and that's the most important thing.
Are you allowed to explain a little bit about how the format is going to work out yet?
Yeah, so we're going to pick 2 weight classes. Frank's picking 2 weight classes, and His Excellency chooses another weight class. No one knows the fighters until they meet in the official press conference in London. So you will pick the best available fighter from that weight class that you have. And the big reveal will be in London. We'll film the weight classes this week. It'll be announced, I think, Saturday after Joshua and Ngannou. We've got some unbelievable surprises up our sleeve. This is going to be a big format. Everybody's talking about it, and genuinely, we cannot lose. Like, we must not lose this. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Just going back to AJ in this fight, I was at the workouts yesterday, and Ngannou's legs are the size of a human torso.
Yeah.
Even Paul Smith was behind us going, my God, I've never seen anything like it. The size of his head is huge. Are the first 3 or 4 rounds, when all that power can be going at AJ in the same way that it caught Fury, are they the most nervous ones once AJ comes through those?
I think when you're that strong, you can change the fight at any moment with one punch. And you can be dominating this fight for 5, 6 rounds, walk onto one and the fight can be over. This is probably the most nervous I've been going into a fight because a little bit of the unknowns of Ngannou. I'm looking at Ngannou the same way you are, and Paul Smith is going, I mean, can you even hurt him? Like, can you push him back? He's just a freak of nature, but I still stand by AJ's better in every single department, and he's got to show it on Friday.
What have you made about the way him and Ben have linked up? I've been really surprised by how the fact that he was with Billy Joe for so long and then Tyson for so long, and there's already a camaraderie that I'd imagine with AJ's life, people try and come into his life quite late and want to get on the bandwagon, and trust must be difficult, but he seems to have that with Ben quite quickly.
Yeah, I've always said, if AJ understands the game plan, I think he's unbeatable. You know, he did it in Ruiz too, did it in a lot of the early part of his career, lost a little bit of, I say trust, but belief in the team to deliver that game plan. Usyk one was the best example of just not understanding the game plan at all. But against Wilding, you know, Ben and Lee Wiley have got a fantastic way of inputting the data into their fighter and making them ingest it and understand it. He did that perfectly against Wilding. The difference in this fight is they've only got 10 rounds of coverage of Ngannou, which is difficult. Fury had none, which is really difficult. So, but they will have a game plan to exploit the weaknesses of Francis Ngannou. AJ's enjoying it. He's punching harder than I've ever seen him punch. He's more confident than I've ever seen him. So yeah, the link-up's been great.